And we have the second section. And as you can see, the second section begins by saying, just as it is in Ziv HaShemesh, the same is in Chayza Nefesh. What was discussed? Thank you. In Ziv HaShemesh. The principle that was brought out there was that the oil is Mein HaMoir. The Shemesh is an essence of Behiris, and the oil that spreads from the Shemesh is similarly an oil of Behirius. And we discussed in Yin that it's not in the same category. Still, it is Ma'ain, it is of that quality. Because oil in general, physical oil, that the Ir HaShemesh, the meaning of oil is to reveal the essence of where the oil is present. Like the Shemesh, the presence of the Shemesh is a statement that this world is not dark but it is bright. It changes the entire definition of world. Similarly, the oil that is mispashed, that spreads forth from the Shemesh, has a similar message and a similar effect. And as we pointed out, this is a phenomenal union that we fail to recognize, and the world sees it completely differently. That the oil that illuminates the world is not via any kind of a beam, any kind of an activity. It is the presence of the oil itself that nullifies the darkness and brings out the reality of the oil. It brings out that the oil of the world, that the world is not a dark place, but it has a real message. There's real things in there. So now we're going to the next step. V'hinei behold, k'moi be'ir v'ziv HaShemesh. And there it says, behold, which means that what he's going to say is, even though it is not obvious to the naked eye, but it is obvious to the eye of the soul, which is Chokhmah. Just as it is in the Oy V'ziv HaShemesh, namely, that the Shemesh, that the oil is a reflection of what the Shemesh is, and has a similar message. K'moi kein, similarly, hu be'ei v'chayz ha'nefesh l'hachis ha'guf. This is also true in the oil v'chayz ha'nefesh, l'hachis ha'guf, that gives life to the guf. Shehu gamkin rag ha'or levat, that this chayz ha'nefesh that comes into and brings life to the guf is only ha'or. Let us give some kind of a reference form of identifying ha'or. Going back to the moshel of the sun and its ray, how would you compare the sun to the ray, to the light that emanates from the sun? The sun is an etzem behiri. It's the essence of brightness. The oil of the sun is just the brightness alone, without the essence. The similar union is in Chayz HaNefesh. The nefesh is life itself. The oil of Chayz HaNefesh that comes to the guf and the nefesh is the essence of life. It's life in and of itself. The oil of Chayz HaNefesh that comes to the guf is only the life element, not the essence that enables it. This is a ha'orah. It's only a ha'orah, it's a reflection. What is the ha'orah? The ha'orah is the effect of its presence rather than the presence itself. That's a ha'orah. And this is how this is the Chayz HaNefesh that brings life to the guf, which is a ha'orah, and the Rebbe explains it, discusses it. Again, he starts over the words v'hine. This is something that we should be able to recognize, and it's impossible to really to explain it. But we can recognize it with the essence of our wisdom, of Chokhmah. We can really recognize it and like look at it straight in the eye. Sheharei, for behold, etzem ha-nefesh, the essence of the nefesh, ein nimshach, is not drawn lahachiyush es haguf, to make life and to bring life to the guf. One more line and then we'll have something to discuss. Rag ha'arosi levad, only its ha'ora, its reflection, the effect of the presence of the nefesh, rather than nefesh itself. V'lochein, and for this very reason, for the fact that the nefesh itself is not disturbed, is not drawn to the guf, this is why in a pale shini b'ho'etzim, this is why this fact that the nefesh gives life to the guf does not affect any kind of a change in the etzem, in the nefesh itself. Im meir, im oyina ene meir. Whether in fact this light of this nefesh is in the guf and gives life to the guf, or the life of the nefesh is not associated with the guf. It does not bring it life. It's not affected at all. Because the principle that gives life is not via any kind of a preoccupation of the nefesh. In which case, if it fails, it would be affected. Or even if successful, it would be involved. There is no involvement at all. Ukmoi kein, and likewise, ma shemachayez haguf, this element, this fact, that the nefesh or the Eir HaNefesh is mechayez haguf, brings life to the guf, renders the guf a living, arei zeh shelo yaldei hisaskus. Thank you. It is shelo yaldei hisaskus, without any kind of engagement. How then does the guf come to life? She'alidei hislapshusis beguf, whereas a result of hislapshusis beguf, of the nefesh, mislabish, entering into the guf, memele haguf chai, automatically or effortlessly or by default, by its presence, haguf chai, the guf comes to life. The guf lives from the presence of this Oyer HaNefesh.
Rabbi, what we said last week about this, that when the light is shining automatically, as a result, the chayas comes into the body. Is the chayas a ha'ara of the or it's a separate creation?
We have to somehow try to identify the meaning of a ha'ara. Like we said by the shemesh. What brightens up the world? First of all, the presence of the shemesh automatically transforms the world into a bright. The oil of the shemesh that spreads out to a distance. What spreads out from the shemesh? The shemesh is a body. The shemesh is an etzem. This etzem is behiri. This behiri used in the shemesh is due to what the shemesh is. Brightness is not a presence, an entity unto itself. It's not a tangible entity. In the shemesh, it is an abundance, and there is brightness in it. What spreads forth is the brightness alone, without the etzem. This is called the ha'ara. Like the muscle that we have, the best muscle that we can relate to is the human being presence in his home. He is not present all over the home. He is in one place. And yet, he is everywhere. Automatically. When he steps in, his ownership extends to everything. To the extent that he said all the time that he would not tolerate anybody intruding into any place in this home. Why not? It doesn't bother him. Because this is the ha'ara of the reality of the human being.
Was not called oil?
Was? Let us, now that let us try to define oil of the human being and the ha'ara of the human being. When you come into a home, inevitably, the home is going to be furnished and developed. This development reflects the oil of the human being. What's a table? A table is that which a human being appreciates as a table. The house doesn't appreciate a table. But because there's a human being in this house, that demands that to be a table. This is the oil. The table tells us that there is a human being here. But that is this is the oil, the spreading out of this. The real presence of the human being is his very presence. As soon as he steps into the home, he is everywhere. But that's the essence. And then from that there is the oil.
What's the ha'ara?
So the ha'ara of this is these furnishings that are in the house are not set up haphazardly, just piled up. They're very orderly. Why are they orderly? The presence of the it tells us there is that there is a human owner of this house, but the orderliness of the orderliness is the functionality of the human being. This is not the presence of the human being itself. This orderliness, this is why it's an interesting thing. Many people fail to appreciate the value of orderliness. They serve you lunch. Here's the soup, here's the meat, here's it. You pick it. The order and the organization and the respect with which it is being presented, this is the order of the human quality. Why are you complaining? I gave you food. But he gave me just the food. He didn't give me the human element in this food. That human element is an intangible. This is it's called the ha'ora of the presence of the human being. Overnight, it occurred to me that we have the following very, very powerful illustration of this in you. I mentioned it many times, but I don't know to what extent we recognize the significance of it. Wherever a human being is, he will develop the land. He will build houses, make roads, make access, and so forth. He will develop the area to be a usable aspect of for human abode. This is the pshat that he is. This is the oil of what what it means to own land, to own the land. So we said, imagine if somebody takes this same plan and develops it on Mars. So we all understood that there will be something very principally missing there. What will be missing? You'll have the full development. You don't have the oil. You won't have what it's representing. You only have the chitzonius. You will not have the pneumius, the essence. The essence of human presence is on the earth. Why? Because that's what the REBBE created it. So that when you develop a dwelling on earth, you have an essence that comes with it. It's not just the practical usage of it, but the reality that's behind it. This is the real pshat oimein hamoir. The moir is also there, but the moir is there in its way, and then the oir fills in, it presents the oir element wherever the moir is. But if the moir is not there, if there is no design for the person to live there, then no matter what he does, it doesn't create the reality. Okay. Behold. Again, I'm alerting you to the expression vihine, because that is already alerting us that this means that we have to focusing with a deeper aspect of our intellect than that which we can define by observation or by touch. Even as it is in the light of the Ziva Shemesh, similarly, the similar thing is we find in the light and the Chayes HaNefesh. The life element of the Nefesh, lahachis is a guf, which comes to give life to the guf. Chayes HaNefesh is an inherent thing in the Nefesh. The Nefesh is alive through and through, just as the Shemesh is bright through and through. But then there is a Chayes HaNefesh, lahachis is a guf, that is able to extend, bring forth this Chayes to a guf. Shuhu gamkin rak ha'ora levad. This Chayes that comes to the guf is also only ha'ora. Only a ha'ora, only a reflection, so this means only a subset of the Chayes HaNefesh. It is only the life element, or the life-giving element, rather than the living element itself. Sheharei, for as behold, Etzev HaNefesh, the Nefesh itself, Ein Nimshach L'Hachis is Haguf, is not drawn L'Hachis as Haguf to make the Guf alive. Rag HaRos Levad, only the impact, the ha'ora, the reflection of the Nefesh, of the Nefesh, Etzev HaNefesh. So when we learned this the first time, we pointed out a very simple, very interesting way of seeing this, of understanding this. The nefesh is mechayed the guf. This chayes of the guf that comes with this living element, life element in the guf, enables the guf to cover distances, to go to relate to a whole expanse of land, to see from the spot where he is way out, miles away, and to relate to that, and ultimately, if he wants to, he can get there. This inyan, this principle, that the guf can associate with a spot that is miles and miles away, it will be due to the chayas that's in the guf. It's not the guf. The guf stays put wherever it is. A rock does not associate with the rock next to it. There's the guf, the living guf, is all over. He senses in he senses in the distance, and furthermore, he has the ability to reach that distance. Now, this Indian that is able to reach that distance is not limited to being where he is in the world, is due to the Chayes HaNefesh. Within that Chayes HaNefesh itself, there is a Nefesh. The Nefesh is definitely not limited to one place or another place. Nefesh is a true godly presence, and it relates to the entire world. Notice, wherever a person ends up being, in America or down under in Australia, he can only in himself, he can start acting. He's not going to say, hey, I don't know, this is out of my realm, out of my reach. Whatever it is, he belongs there. Because a nefesh can relate to everything that the Rebbe created. That's what nefesh is. As a godly reality. Totally not limited to a place and time. This nefesh is mislabish in the guf and gives life to the guf. It gives life to the guf similarly of the life of the element of the nefesh itself. But it gives it only the ha'ora of that, rather than the actual nefesh. If the esam nefesh would be mislabish in the guf, as we would project in our wisdom, what would be? Similar, just as the nefesh can be any place that there is to be, instantaneously, then the guf will be jumping around the whole world all the time. I see that, oh, I'm there. I see that, I'm there. But that's not what happens. That would not be complementary to the guf. You would be completely ignoring the guf element. The nefesh would be acting totally independent of the guf. But the nefesh is mislabish in the guf and gives chayes to guf. The guf should be alive.
While at the same time not being misasek boy.
That's right.
Seemingly it is pretty engaged.
It's not engaged.
When we say things are pleasing or displeasing to your nefesh.
We'll come back to that. But the chayes that the nefesh is mechayed, the guf, is by the very presence of the nefesh.
Well, even this point that it is, let's say, step down. It is appropriate in quantity or quality to the soul's, to the body's station, right? That seems like a degree of involvement.
No, it's nothing. It's the ha'ora of the chayes and nefesh. This is called the ha'ora.
Right. But the sun shines without cognizance. It's shining into a place that's clean or dirty. Fine. It seems, though, just perforce that the soul is enlivening the body with a kind of vitality that is appropriate, like we were just saying, completely appropriate to that body. And therefore, it can only accomplish that with a degree of sort of attending to it, intelligence. But on the other hand, we've said, Shelo al yedei hisaskus boy.
The part of the chayes and nefesh that is mislabish in the guf is that which can be mislabish in the guf without destroying the guf. This is why it's called a ha'ora. It is the life element alone rather than the essence of that life. It is just that which is with the guf, which the guf can accept and remain a guf.
Uh-huh. Okay, and this is mamela.
One second. Okay, of course, I see that, the light of the sun illuminating the world. And we say, it transforms the world. Yet, as soon as the sun leaves, what happens?
Sunset.
The world reverts back to its original state. It transforms it by virtue of its presence. But this presence is so real, and it's a ha'ora of the essence that for that moment it actually transforms it. This is exactly the way it is in nefesh and guf. Clearly, this inyan that nefesh should be associated with guf is a divine effect. But what is the effect? The effect is that the ha'ora of the life of the nefesh should be imbued in the guf.
And seemingly it cares not what happens to that vitality. Just like the sun cares not where it shines. It's not engaged.
The difference between the sun and the nefesh is as follows. Not in the manner that it spreads forth and brightens up or gives life to the guf. The difference is the essence of the sun and the essence of the nefesh. The essence of the sun, I said, is a brightness. This brightness will illuminate anything that it will come in contact with. And like you said, it does not at all care what it comes in contact with. The nefesh is in a different category completely. The difference is that the nefesh is what's called oir pnimi. Oir pnimi means an oir that enters in internally. It has an internal quality. And therefore, for the nefesh, yes, indeed, it makes a difference where it is.
Uh-huh.
Because the nefesh brings a completely different aspect than what the sun brings.
Yeah. So what do we make? So what do we make of what was said inside here on the fourth line of this paragraph? Ereza shalol yadei hisaskus.
It's lo yadei hisaskus. It's lo yadei hisaskus. But it brings what the essence, what nefesh is. What is the essence of what nefesh is? There's a fundamental difference between what the essence of what nefesh is and the essence of what sun is. Sun does not have a pnimi element. The nefesh does have a pnimi element. Like you said, take the sun, put it in the garbage, sun wouldn't mind at all. The nefesh would mind. Because the nefesh itself, the nefesh as such, has a mission, a divine mission.
Right. So again, what sense do we make of this? That it.
Yes.
So what you have to, okay, go ahead. I'd like you to answer it yourself.
Will we
The difference is not in the ha'ora. The difference is not the oil. The difference is in the essence. It's a different essence. The sun is an essence, and the nefesh is an essence. But the essence, these two essences have completely different values, different significances.
Right. So it seems like the essence of nefesh does care.
The essence of nefesh is to bring the truth of nefesh. Not just to give you an opportunity to do what you want to do.
Yes, which is a pnimi, like we said, which de facto seems to indicate it is engaged. It's not disengaged, it is concerned.
Different words.
Okay, one second. Okay, to ask a question is not enough. You have to try and give an answer. The fact is, let me ask you, can you relate to what the Rebbe says, the hine, the nefesh is not nimshach in the guf? Can you relate to these words?
To some extent, I guess.
To ask questions, it's that the Rebbe says, hine, behold.
Yeah.
And I said, if nefesh itself will be in the guf, then just give a wild project. then
It would be overpowering. But
but the nefesh wants to
fine.
be there. The goof would jump over there.
Fine. So we are establishing that the nefesh has life. Call it life beyond guf. That's fine. But that is not.
No, not life in your goof. That which comes to the goof is a subset
Yes.
of its life.
Yes. Right. It has its own reality.
One second. If it's a subset of its life, that means you say, oh, it's a misasik. Is that called hisasik?
If it's pnimi, you would think, just like I have various things that I'm involved in. They're not my essential, but they're things that I'm concerned about. Seemingly here, the nefesh has zero concern about what happens inside guf. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. It's not concerned. It's not engaged. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding this comment here and putting in the same getter as son.
It's a different word though. Concerned and engaged is two different ideas.
Fine,
two
so it's
different
not,
things.
but that it's not engaged.
One second.
It's a pnimi, but
One
not
second.
engaged.
Again, I'd like you to not ask a question, but try to answer the question.
Okay.
What is the answer in your mind? If a person misbehaves, how does that affect the nefesh itself?
Right, we do have that whatever happens in this world to the guf does not affect the nefesh.
So how come?
Right, on the other hand, we do seem to say,
Okay, so now this is what I'm saying. Vihine. Let's engage our intellect, otherwise we
So
just
on
ask
that level-
questions.
right, we're getting to the answer here, but on that level, it's not touching. Fine.
And what does it mean then? Is it touching, is it not touching? It means that what the nefesh gives the goof, is what I say, is only the life element rather than the nefesh element. Nefesh is an essence. Nefesh is a representative of the godly reality. Then there's a life element that can be translated on a goof level. This is what's misla. That's what the Lashon REBBE. Look in my mimer. שעצם הנפש אינו נמשך להכיס את הגוף. So there's a order from this one nefesh. But lahakis is a goof is a completely different thing. The goof cannot take the etzem achayis. In order for the goof to come to life, the chayis is a chayis pnimi. The chayis has to permeate every last aspect of the goof. Is to absorb the goof completely. Does it become nefesh? It becomes a living goof. But it remains goof. This is why it's possible, because what nimshach from the nefesh and hasal goof is only the ha'orah of the nefesh. What is the ha'orah of nefesh? Rabbi, how do you define ha'orah of the nefesh? All right. You do not have an off-the-cuff answer. This is what I'm saying. We have to, besides asking questions, we have to focus in on what is being told and explained. What would be the ha'orah of a nefesh?